I'm Brooke, 32, and all my life I've tried to be the perfect daughter. Good grades, great job, never causing trouble. But somehow it was never enough for my parents. So when they called to tell me I wasn't invited to my brother Adam's wedding, I wasn't entirely surprised. What cut deepest was my mother's smirk as she said, "It's better without you there." Instead of crying, I smiled back and replied, "Perfect. I'll be in Greece that weekend anyway." Little did they know how that simple response would change everything. Where are you watching from? Hit like and subscribe to hear how I turned my family's rejection into the best decision of my life. Growing up in a middle-class neighborhood in Boston, I was the oldest of three siblings. Adam was the middle child, just 2 years younger than me, and Jessica was the baby of the family, 5 years my junior. Our family looked picture perfect from the outside. My father, Robert, worked as an accountant at a prestigious firm downtown, while my mother, Diana, ran her own interior design business from home. We never lacked for material things, but emotional support was a different story. From my earliest memories, I sensed that I was held to different standards than my siblings, especially Adam. When I brought home straight A's, my father would nod and say, "That's expected." When Adam brought home B's, there would be celebration dinners and endless praise about his balanced approach to life. My artistic tendencies emerged early. I loved photography and would spend hours capturing images around our neighborhood. My mother would look at my photos and sigh, "That's nice, honey, but wouldn't you rather focus on something more practical?" Meanwhile, she framed Adam's stick figure drawings and displayed them prominently on the refrigerator. As we entered high school, the disparity became more obvious. I was captain of the debate team, editor of the yearbook, and maintained a 4.0 GPA. My parents attended exactly one debate competition in 4 years. Adam joined the basketball team, and they never missed a game. When he decided to follow our father into finance, my parents beamed with pride for weeks. When I announced my acceptance into a photography program at University of Washington, my mother asked if it wasn't too late to apply for business school instead. The subtle undermining of my confidence became a constant backdrop to my life. My mother had a special talent for disguising criticism as concern. "Brooke, that outfit isn't doing you any favors," she would say while adjusting my collar. Or, "Have you thought about straightening your hair? It looks so much more professional." Each comment was a small paper cut to my self-esteem. My father's approach was different, but equally damaging. He simply didn't engage. When I tried to discuss my photography projects or career aspirations, he would nod absently, eyes never leaving his newspaper or laptop screen. "That's nice," he would mutter, clearly not listening. But when Adam wanted to discuss the stock market or his internship applications, my father would clear his schedule completely. The strangest part was my relationship with Adam himself. As children, we had been close. I have memories of building blanket forts, creating elaborate pretend scenarios, and defending each other from neighborhood bullies. But as we grew older, and Adam absorbed our parents' attitudes, a distance grew between us. By high school, he had begun to echo their dismissive comments about my artsy hobbies and unrealistic career plans. Jessica, my younger sister, seemed to exist in a neutral zone. She wasn't criticized like I was, but she didn't receive the golden child treatment like Adam either. We formed a quiet alliance over the years, supporting each other through family dinners and holiday gatherings that often left us both emotionally exhausted. When I left for college in Seattle, 3,000 miles from Boston, it felt like I could finally breathe. The physical distance provided a buffer that made family relationships somewhat easier to manage. I limited my visits home to major holidays and developed a policy of disengagement when the criticism started. I built a new life for myself, surrounded by friends who valued my creativity and supported my ambitions. After graduation, I worked relentlessly to establish myself as a travel photographer and blogger. The first few years were challenging, working side jobs to pay the bills, while building my portfolio and online presence. My parents' predictions of failure were a constant whisper in my mind, but I pushed through. By the time I hit 30, I had a successful blog with sponsorship deals, a growing social media following, and my work had been featured in several travel magazines. Despite my success, family gatherings remained tense. My mother would introduce me to her friends as my daughter who takes vacation photos for the internet, while Adam was my son, the financial analyst. My accomplishments were minimized, my challenges magnified. Each visit home left me emotionally drained, yet I continued to make the effort, clinging to some hope that one day they might see me for who I really was. The last time I visited was Thanksgiving, 6 months before Adam's wedding announcement. I had just secured a book deal for a coffee table collection of my travel photography, and I was excited to share the news. I waited until dinner was almost over, when everyone seemed relaxed and conversation had been flowing pleasantly. "I have some exciting news," I said during a lull in the conversation. "A publisher has offered me a contract for a book of my photography. It will be in bookstores next fall." There was a moment of silence before my mother said, "Well, I suppose some people do enjoy those sorts of picture books. Speaking of real books, Adam, didn't you say your boss published an article in the Wall Street Journal?" Just like that, my moment was gone, redirected to Adam's achievement. I caught Jessica's sympathetic glance across the table, but she remained silent. The conversation moved on as if my announcement had never happened. Later that night, as I was helping with dishes, my father patted my shoulder awkwardly and said, "That book thing sounds nice. Just don't be disappointed if it doesn't sell well. People have different tastes." I flew back to Seattle the next morning, a day earlier than planned, and promised myself I would take an extended break from family visits. I needed time to heal and rebuild the confidence that always seemed to crumble in their presence. I didn't realize then that my next significant family interaction would be about Adam's wedding, and that it would change our family dynamic forever. I found out about Adam's engagement through Instagram. There it was in my feed one Tuesday morning, a perfectly staged photo of Adam down on one knee in front of his girlfriend Sophia, a glittering ring held up between them, with the Boston Harbor as a backdrop. The caption read, "She said yes, couldn't be happier to spend the rest of my life with this amazing woman." I stared at my phone screen, a complex mix of emotions washing over me. Happiness for my brother, hurt that I had to learn about this milestone through social media, and anxiety about the family gatherings to come. Still, I wanted to be supportive. I immediately called Adam to congratulate him. "Hey, I just saw the news. Congratulations to you both," I said when he answered, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. "Oh, thanks," Adam replied, sounding surprised. "I was going to call you later today. Mom and Dad just wanted to tell the extended family first." That stung. I was apparently categorized as not extended family, but also not important enough to be told before the social media announcement. Nevertheless, I kept my tone bright. "Sophia looks so happy in the picture. Tell me everything. How did you plan it? Did she suspect anything?" Adam warmed up as he shared the details of his proposal, and Sophia joined the call briefly to say hello. I had only met her twice at family gatherings, where we hardly had a chance to talk. She seemed pleasant, if a bit reserved, clearly nervous about making a good impression on Adam's family. "We're thinking about a June wedding," Adam said toward the end of the call. "Pretty quick planning timeline, but Sophia's dream venue had a cancellation." "That's wonderful," I replied. "Just let me know the dates as soon as you can so I can make sure to clear my schedule." "Of course," he said, but there was a slight hesitation in his voice that I chose to ignore. 2 weeks later, Adam sent a group text announcing an engagement party at our parents' house the following month. I immediately booked a flight from Seattle to Boston and messaged him to confirm details. The day before I was set to fly out, I received a call from Adam. "About tomorrow's party," he began awkwardly. "Mom and Dad decided to keep it just close family. With all the wedding planning stress, they wanted something small." "I am close family," I said, confused. "I'm your sister." I know, it's just, Mom's really stressed about having the house perfect, and with you coming from so far away, they thought maybe it would be better to just see you at the wedding instead." I canceled my flight, swallowing the hurt and telling myself it was reasonable to not fly across the country for a small gathering. But the next day, scrolling through my mother's Facebook posts, I saw photos of the intimate family gathering that included not just our immediate family, but also aunts, uncles, cousins, and family friends I hadn't seen in years. A sick feeling settled in my stomach. This wasn't about keeping the event small. I had been specifically uninvited. For the next few months, I watched the wedding planning unfold through social media posts. My mother shared photos of venue visits, cake tastings, and flower arrangements. Jessica occasionally called to fill me in on details and always sounded uncomfortable caught in the middle. Have they mentioned when they're sending out invitations? I asked her during one such call, trying to sound casual. I think they went out last week, she replied, her voice tight. You didn't get one? Not yet. Probably just taking longer to reach Seattle, I said, but we both knew that wasn't true. A week later, I received a video call request from my parents. This was unusual as they rarely called me and never via video. With a sense of foreboding, I accepted the call. My parents sat stiffly side by side on their living room sofa. My mother was wearing the pearl necklace she reserved for important occasions, and my father had on a button-up shirt, rather than his usual weekend polo. Brooke, we wanted to talk to you about Adam's wedding. My father began, not quite meeting my eyes. Yes, I was wondering about that. I haven't received an invitation yet, I said. My mother cleared her throat. That's what we need to discuss. After careful consideration, we think it would be best if you didn't attend the wedding. The statement hit me like a physical blow. Why wouldn't I be at my own brother's wedding? Well, my mother continued, her voice taking on the condescending tone she used when explaining something to a difficult child. We want this day to be perfect for Adam and Sophia. Their wedding photos will be something they treasure forever. And, I prompted, still not understanding, and your presence might create tension. You know how you can be, Brooke, always needing to make everything about your alternative lifestyle. My alternative lifestyle, I repeated incredulously. You mean my career as a photographer? That, and your insistence on being different. Your hair, your clothes. We're concerned you might not fit with the overall aesthetic of the wedding. I was stunned into silence. They weren't inviting me because I might clash with the color scheme, because my career choice and personal style might somehow tarnish their perfect family image. Did Adam agree to this? I finally managed to ask. My father shifted uncomfortably. Adam understands that sometimes difficult decisions must be made for the greater good. So you're telling me that my own brother doesn't want me at his wedding because of how I look? It's not just that, my mother said, leaning forward. It's the atmosphere you create with your constant need for validation. Always talking about your little travels and photos. This day isn't about you, Brooke. It's about Adam. And then came the moment that would replay in my mind for months. My mother's lips curled into a slight smirk, and she delivered the final blow. It's better without you there. Her expression made it clear this wasn't just about the wedding. This was the culmination of years of her making me feel less than unwanted, not good enough. In that moment, I saw with perfect clarity that nothing I ever did would make her see my worth. A strange calm settled over me. I could feel tears threatening, but I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing me cry. Instead, I straightened my shoulders and forced my lips into a smile. Perfect, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I'll be in Greece that weekend anyway. I just got commissioned for a major travel piece there. The momentary flash of surprise on my mother's face was worth the lie. She had expected tears, pleading perhaps anger. My easy acceptance clearly wasn't the reaction she had anticipated. Well, she said, recovering quickly, I'm glad that works out then. We ended the call shortly after with promises to keep in touch that we all knew were empty. I sat staring at my blank screen for several minutes, the full impact of what had just happened washing over me in waves. Then I called my best friend Taylor, who lived a few blocks away, and asked if she could come over. 20 minutes later, Taylor sat on my couch, eyes wide with shock and outrage, as I recounted the conversation. They can't do that, she said when I finished. It's your brother's wedding. Apparently they can, I replied, finally allowing the tears to come. And they have. Taylor pulled me into a hug, and I let myself break down completely. All the years of trying to prove myself worthy of their love, all the effort to maintain a relationship despite their constant dismissal, all the hope that someday they might see me for who I really was, came pouring out in gut-wrenching sobs. What are you going to do? Taylor asked when I had calmed somewhat. I wiped my eyes and took a deep breath. First, I'm going to book a ticket to Greece. The next morning, I woke up with swollen eyes and a heaviness in my chest that made it difficult to breathe. I called in sick to the coffee shop where I worked part-time between photography gigs, pulled the covers over my head, and considered staying there for the foreseeable future. My phone buzzed with a text from Taylor. "Therapy appointment at 2. Already talked to Dr. Winters. She's expecting you. No arguments." I managed a small smile despite my misery. Taylor knew me too well. I would have let myself wallow canceling my regular therapy appointment because it felt like too much effort to explain what had happened. But she was right. If ever there was a time I needed professional support, it was now. Dr. Winter's office had always felt like a safe haven, with its soft lighting and comfortable chairs. Today, it was a lifeline. I collapsed into my usual seat, and the words poured out the entire painful story of the wedding exclusion and years of family dynamics that led to this point. "What strikes me, Dr. Winter said when I finished, is not just their behavior, which is clearly hurtful, but your response. You chose dignity over confrontation. That shows tremendous growth, Brooke." "It doesn't feel like growth," I admitted. "It feels like surrender." "There's a significant difference between surrendering and setting boundaries," she replied. "One stems from defeat, the other from self-respect. You're saying, 'I won't participate in this dynamic anymore.' That's powerful." We spent the rest of the session discussing healthy boundaries and the grief that comes with accepting family limitations. I left feeling slightly more centered, though the pain remained. Back at home, I received a call from Jessica. Her voice was tight with tension. "I just heard what happened," she said. "Mom and Dad told me you can't make it to the wedding because of work, but Adam let slip that they decided not to invite you." "What's going on?" I sighed, not wanting to put my younger sister in an uncomfortable position, but unwilling to perpetuate the lie. I explained the video call and their reasoning for excluding me. "That's horrible," Jessica whispered. "I had no idea they would do something like this. Adam seemed confused about it too, like he thought you had declined the invitation." "He's letting them make this decision for him?" I asked, a new hurt blooming. "He's 30 years old. He could stand up to them if he wanted me there." Jessica was quiet for a moment. "It's complicated. They're paying for everything, and it's this really fancy venue that they can barely afford. Mom keeps saying this has to be the wedding of the season because all her design clients will be there." "Of course," I said bitterly. "It's all about appearances." After talking with Jessica, I felt a renewed sense of hurt, but also determination. If I wasn't wanted at the wedding, I would make the most of that weekend doing something meaningful for myself. The Greece comment had been spontaneous, but the more I thought about it, the more appealing it became. I had contacts in the travel industry from years of blogging, and Greece had been on my photography wish list for years. Within days, I had reached out to several connections and secured discounted accommodations in Santorini and Athens in exchange for social media content. A small travel magazine expressed interest in a photo essay about less touristed Greek locations. What had begun as a defiant response was transforming into a legitimate work opportunity. As I made these arrangements, I kept my social media updates subtle. I shared photos of my Greek language phrasebook, a new wide-angle lens for an upcoming project, and questions about the best times to photograph the Acropolis. Nothing explicitly mentioned the wedding or my feelings about being excluded. I was determined to take the high road publicly. My mother's social media, meanwhile, became increasingly wedding-focused. Daily updates about floral arrangements, menu tastings, and dress fittings filled her feed. Each post was carefully crafted to project an image of family harmony and celebration. The comment sections filled with congratulations and excitement from her friends and clients. Taylor came over one evening to find me scrolling through these posts, a glass of wine in hand, and tears streaming down my face. "Stop torturing yourself," she said gently, taking my phone away. "Nothing good comes from this." "I know," I admitted. "It just hurts to see how excited they all are about this perfect family event that I'm apparently not good enough to attend." "Then let's focus on making your Greece trip so amazing that you won't even think about what you're missing," Taylor said, opening her laptop. "I've been researching some incredible spots that would be perfect for your photography." We spent the rest of the evening planning details of my itinerary, researching unique locations beyond the typical tourist sites. By the time Taylor left, I felt genuinely excited about the trip, the wedding fading slightly from the forefront of my thoughts. The next day, Jessica called again. "Are you really going to Greece?" she asked, sounding surprised. Yes, I confirmed. I leave the Thursday before the wedding and return the following Wednesday. Wow. There was a pause. Mom thinks you made it up to save face. She told Aunt Linda you were just being dramatic. I laughed without humor. Well, she'll find out the truth soon enough. But, Jessica, I want you to know that I understand you need to be at the wedding. I don't expect you to take sides or make a statement on my behalf. But it's so unfair, Jessica protested. They're treating you terribly. Yes, they are, I agreed. But this is my boundary to set, not yours. You need to do what feels right for your relationship with Adam and our parents. As the wedding date approached, I threw myself into trip preparations and work projects. Each time thoughts of the wedding threatened to overwhelm me, I redirected my energy into planning another aspect of my Greek adventure. I researched photography locations, booked special experiences, and connected with local photographers for meetups. During this time, I also began working more intensively with Dr. Winters on processing my family dynamics. Years of subtle emotional manipulation had left their mark, and I was finally ready to address these wounds directly. Your family has created a narrative about who you are, Dr. Winters observed during one session. But that narrative isn't true, and it isn't serving you. What if you allowed yourself to fully embrace your own story instead? That question resonated deeply. What if I stopped trying to fit into their narrow definition of success and worth? What if I fully embraced my path without the constant need for their validation? These thoughts accompanied me as I packed my bags for Greece, my camera equipment carefully stowed alongside summer clothes and travel guides. The wedding was 3 days away, but for the first time I was focused entirely on my own journey, rather than what I was missing. The moment I stepped off the plane in Santorini, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The brilliant blue sky, the warm breeze carrying the scent of the sea, the whitewashed buildings cascading down the cliffside. Everything felt like an embrace welcoming me to a place where family drama couldn't reach me. My hotel was a traditional cave dwelling converted into luxury accommodations, perched on the edge of the caldera, with breathtaking views of the Aegean Sea. The manager upgraded me to their best suite after learning I was a travel photographer, with a significant social media following. My terrace featured a private plunge pool overlooking the famous Santorini sunset vista. That first evening, I sat on my terrace watching the sun sink into the sea in a blaze of orange and pink. I took dozens of photos, but also made sure to simply experience the moment. When the last light faded, I selected the best image and posted it to my Instagram with the caption, "Day 1 in Greece. Sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead to the most beautiful destinations." Within hours, the post had received thousands of likes and hundreds of comments. My followers were excited about this new adventure and eager to see more of Greece through my lens. Among the notifications was a direct message from the editor of Wanderlust magazine, a prestigious travel publication I had been trying to work with for years. "Love your Santorini shot," the message read. "We're doing a special issue on the Greek islands in 3 months. Any interest in contributing a photo essay paid, of course." I nearly dropped my phone in excitement. This was an opportunity that could significantly advance my career, the kind of break I had been working toward for years. I responded immediately, expressing my interest and suggesting a call to discuss details. The next morning, I met up with 2 local photographers I had connected with through social media. They took me to hidden spots around the island that most tourists never discovered. A tiny blue domed church accessible only by a narrow goat path, an ancient stone wall with perfect views of the volcano, a small cove where the water was so clear. You could see colorful fish darting between rocks 20 feet below. I posted selected images throughout the day, each receiving more engagement than my typical content. My following was growing noticeably, with each new post bringing dozens of new followers. The validation was sweet, but what meant more was the genuine connection I felt to my work and this magnificent place. That evening, as I reviewed my photos and planned the next day's excursion to Athens, my phone buzzed with a text message. It was from my mother. "Are you really in Greece?" The message was so typical of her: no greeting, no pleasantries, just a challenge to my honesty. I considered ignoring it, but then decided on a simple response. I sent her a photo of myself on my hotel terrace with the unmistakable Santorini backdrop and wrote, Yes, in Santorini, heading to Athens tomorrow. She didn't reply. The next day, I caught an early ferry to Athens. My hotel there was a modern boutique property, with views of the Acropolis which glowed golden in the morning sun as I arrived. I had arranged for a private guide and archaeology student named Nikos, who spent the day showing me both the iconic sites and lesser-known ancient ruins around the city. Most tourists rush through the Acropolis in an hour, Nikos explained as we explored the Parthenon. But there are so many details, so many stories in every stone. It rewards those who take their time. I thought about his words as I photographed the ancient columns against the vivid blue sky. There was wisdom in that perspective that extended beyond photography. So many important things in life, healing, growth, self-discovery, couldn't be rushed. They unfolded in their own time, revealing their beauty gradually to those patient enough to notice. While enjoying a late lunch at a small taverna, I checked my phone and found 3 missed calls from my father and several text messages. My stomach tightened as I read them. "Brooke, we need to talk about the wedding. Call me. Your mother and I think you should reconsider attending. This is important. Please call when you get this." The sudden change was suspicious. After explicitly uninviting me, they now wanted me at the wedding. I showed the messages to Nikos, who had become a friendly ear during our day together. "Sounds like something changed," he observed. "Maybe they realized they made a mistake. Or maybe something went wrong with their perfect wedding plans." I replied, unable to keep the bitterness from my voice. I decided not to respond immediately, needing time to process this unexpected development. After parting ways with Nikos, I continued exploring Athens on my own, losing myself in the narrow streets of the Plaka district, and stopping occasionally to photograph interesting doorways, street cats, and local vendors. By evening, there were more messages and missed calls, including one from Jessica. I finally called her back while sitting at a rooftop bar with the illuminated Acropolis as my backdrop. "What's going on?" I asked when she answered. "Suddenly, Mom and Dad are blowing up my phone about attending the wedding." Jessica sighed heavily. "It's kind of a mess here. Several family friends and relatives saw your Greece posts and started asking questions about why you weren't attending the wedding. Apparently, Mom had told everyone you couldn't come because of work commitments, but now they're seeing you're actually on what looks like an amazing vacation." "So they're worried about appearances," I said, unsurprised. "Partly," Jessica admitted. "But that's not all. The wedding venue called yesterday with some payment issue. I don't know the details, but Dad seemed really stressed. He and Mom had a huge fight about money last night. I'm sorry things are stressful, but I don't see how my presence would help." "There's more," Jessica continued. "Some of Adam's friends from college, the ones who've met you before, mentioned how weird it was that his sister wouldn't be there. I think he's starting to question the decision." As if on cue, my phone signaled another call coming in. It was Adam. "That's him now," I told Jessica. "I'll call you back." I switched to Adam's call, my heart racing. This would be our first direct conversation since the wedding drama began. "Brooke," his voice sounded strained. "You really went to Greece, huh?" "I really did," I confirmed, looking out at the ancient city sprawled before me. "I'm in Athens right now." There was a long pause. "Look about the wedding." I wanted to say I'm sorry. I should have stood up to Mom and Dad. I do want you there. The apology caught me off guard. "What changed?" I asked cautiously. Adam sighed. "Honestly, seeing your photos made me realize how stupid this whole thing is. You're my sister. You should be at my wedding." And Sophia agrees. She never wanted you excluded in the first place. "I appreciate that," I said carefully. "But why didn't you say something when Mom and Dad first decided I shouldn't be invited?" I don't know what I thought. That maybe you wouldn't mind, that it would avoid drama. Dad kept saying it was for the best, and you know how he is. I just went along with it. It was easier." His words stung. Easier for whom? Not for me, certainly. But I could hear genuine regret in his voice. "Is there any way you could come back?" he asked. "The wedding's in 2 days. Mom said she'd pay for your flight." I looked around at the beautiful city, thought about my upcoming Mykonos plans, the Wanderlust magazine opportunity, and the peace I had found thousands of miles from family drama. "I need to think about it, Adam. This isn't just about logistics. This is about respect and boundaries." "I understand," he said quietly. "Just please consider it." You're important to me even if I haven't shown it well. After ending the call, I sat for a long time watching the lights of Athens twinkle below me. What should have been a simple decision, attending my brother's wedding, had become complicated by years of family dynamics and recent painful interactions. The next morning, I woke early and called Dr. Winters for an emergency video session. I explained the new development, the sudden flurry of calls and texts urging me to return. "What do you want to do?" she asked simply. "Part of me wants to go," I admitted, "to be there for Adam to take the high road. But another part feels like returning now would be erasing a boundary I just set, like saying their treatment of me was acceptable." "Those are valid concerns," she affirmed. "Remember that boundaries aren't about punishing others. They're about protecting yourself. The question is, what choice protects your well-being right now?" As I pondered her words overlooking the sparkling Aegean from my hotel balcony, I realized what I needed to do. The old Brooke would have dropped everything to please her family, desperate for their approval, even at the cost of her own happiness. But I wasn't that person anymore. I called Adam back. "I've made my decision," I told him. "I won't be coming to the wedding." His disappointment was audible. "But Mom said she'd pay for the flight and we could arrange airport pickup and—" "This isn't about logistics, Adam," I interrupted gently. "This is about respect. Mom and Dad made it very clear that I wasn't wanted at your wedding until it became inconvenient for them. That's not a good enough reason for me to change my plans." "What about for me?" he asked quietly. "Would you come for me?" The question gave me pause. "I love you, Adam. You're my brother, and I want you to be happy. But I need you to understand something important. I matter too. My feelings matter. My boundaries matter. And right now, I need to honor those boundaries." There was a long silence before he spoke again. "I understand. I don't like it, but I understand. I'm sending you and Sophia a gift," I told him. "It should arrive tomorrow, and I sincerely wish you both all the happiness in the world." After we hung up, I arranged for a delivery of a handcrafted silver picture frame I had found in a small Athenian shop, along with a heartfelt card expressing my love and best wishes. It felt good to acknowledge the positive aspects of the occasion, while still maintaining my boundaries. That evening, I joined a sunset yacht cruise around the Athenian Riviera. As the boat glided through turquoise waters, I struck up a conversation with a group of international photographers also on board. We exchanged contact information and made plans to meet in Mykonos, my next destination. For the first time in my adult life, I was making decisions based solely on what felt right for me, not on family expectations or the desperate hope for approval. It was terrifying and liberating all at once. As the sun set over the Greek coastline, painting the sky in brilliant colors, I felt something unfamiliar but wonderful peace with my choices. My final morning in Athens dawned bright and clear. The wedding was tomorrow, and as I packed for my ferry to Mykonos, I felt surprisingly calm. I had made my decision from a place of self-respect rather than anger, and that made all the difference. When I checked my phone, I found messages from both my parents. My mother's was brief and cold. "Your absence will be noticed. Reconsider." My father's was longer, uncharacteristically emotional. "I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, but Adam wants you there. We made a mistake. Please come home." I responded to neither, instead posting a photo of my packed bag with the caption, "Off to Mykonos, can't wait to share the beauty of another Greek island with you all." A traveling photographer, Greek adventure. The ferry ride to Mykonos was spectacular, with the vast blue Aegean stretching in all directions, and various islands dotting the horizon. I spent most of the journey on the open deck feeling the sea spray on my face and the wind in my hair. Each nautical mile put more distance between me and family obligations, between the person they wanted me to be and the person I was choosing to become. My accommodations in Mykonos were a small boutique hotel in the heart of the town, its white walls adorned with cascading bougainvillea in vibrant pink and purple. My room had a tiny balcony overlooking a labyrinth of narrow cobblestone streets, perfect for people watching in street photography. The timing worked out perfectly for me to join a sunset yacht cruise around the island that evening, the day before Adam's wedding. I boarded the sleek vessel with a dozen other travelers, my camera equipment carefully packed in a waterproof bag. The captain, a weathered local man named Stefanos, promised to take us to secluded coves and perfect sunset viewing spots. As the yacht cut through the water, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. Just a week ago, I had been devastated by my family's rejection. Now I was having one of the most meaningful experiences of my life, both professionally and personally. Midway through the cruise, as we anchored in a sheltered cove for swimming and snorkeling, I checked my phone to find it flooded with missed calls and messages. Everyone in my immediate family had tried to reach me multiple times. With a sinking feeling, I wondered if something had gone wrong. I stepped away from the group to return Jessica's call first, assuming she would give me the most straightforward account. "Thank God you called back," she said when she answered, sounding stressed. "It's chaos here." "What happened? Is everyone okay?" I asked, immediately concerned. "Yes, physically everyone's fine, but emotionally, not so much." Jessica lowered her voice. "Adam had a complete meltdown last night. He told Mom and Dad that he felt horrible about how they treated you, and that he should have stood up for you sooner. They had a huge argument. Adam threatened to cancel the whole wedding if they didn't apologize to you." I was stunned. He said that, "Yes, and you won't believe what Mom did. She started crying and saying she never meant to hurt you, that she was just trying to make the wedding perfect. Dad actually called her out on it, saying they both knew exactly what they were doing and needed to own it. Dad said that I couldn't imagine my conflict-avoidant father taking such a stand. I know, right? It's like bizarro world here. Anyway, now they're all desperately trying to reach you. Mom even talked about flying to Greece to find you." The thought of my mother showing up in Mykonos was both absurd and alarming. "Please tell them not to do that. I'm fine. I'm actually having an amazing time." "I can see that from your photos," Jessica said, her tone softening. "You look really happy, Brooke." We talked for a few more minutes before ending the call. Back on deck, I found a quiet spot to think as the yacht began moving again, heading toward the sunset viewing location. My family was finally facing the consequences of their actions, finally acknowledging the hurt they had caused. Part of me felt vindicated, but another part just felt sad that it had taken such an extreme situation to bring these issues to light. My phone buzzed with a voicemail notification from Adam. I hesitated, then played it. "Brooke, I don't know if you'll get this in time." His voice was thick with emotion. "But I needed to tell you something. Last night I really saw Mom and Dad clearly for the first time. The way they've treated you all these years, the way I've gone along with it. It's not okay." I told them that, and things got pretty intense. "But here's what matters. You're my sister, and I love you. If you changed your mind and showed up tomorrow, it would mean the world to me. But if you don't, I understand. I respect your decision either way. I just wanted you to know that." Tears pricked my eyes as I listened. This was the brother I remembered from childhood, the one who stood up for me against neighborhood bullies, the one who helped me build blanket forts in imaginary worlds. Somehow, in all the family dysfunction, we had lost that connection. His message felt like the first step toward finding it again. The sun began its descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in spectacular shades of gold and crimson. Stefanos positioned the yacht perfectly to capture the famous Mykonos windmills, silhouetted against the sunset. I took dozens of photos, but also made sure to simply experience the moment, to feel the gentle rocking of the boat, the warm evening breeze, the sense of freedom that had been growing within me throughout this journey. As darkness fell, and we returned to port, I made my decision. I found a quiet corner of a waterfront cafe and composed a lengthy email to my family. I expressed love for Adam and excitement for his marriage. I acknowledged their recent attempts to include me, but explained that I wouldn't be returning for the wedding. Most importantly, I outlined my feelings about our family dynamic with honesty and compassion, expressing hope that we could build healthier relationships moving forward. I sent the email, then texted Adam. "Check your email when you can. I love you. Enjoy your wedding day." His response came quickly. "I understand. I love you too. We'll talk when you're back." That night I slept more peacefully than I had in weeks. The next day, as Adam and Sophia exchanged vows in Boston, I was exploring the ancient ruins of Delos, a nearby sacred island. As I stood among temples that had witnessed thousands of years of human joy and suffering, my own family drama felt smaller, more manageable. Not insignificant, but part of a larger journey of growth and self-discovery. I posted a single photo that day, the ruins of Delos at sunset, with the caption, "Some foundations crumble with time, others endure for millennia. Choose wisely what you build your life upon." Reflections, ancient wisdom. My followers interpreted it as philosophical travel content. My family would understand its deeper meaning. It was my way of marking the day with grace while holding firm to my boundaries. 1 week after Adam's wedding, I returned to my apartment in Seattle. The trip to Greece had been transformative professionally and personally. I had secured the Wanderlust magazine assignment, made valuable connections with international photographers, and grown my social media following significantly. More importantly, I had discovered a strength within myself that I hadn't known existed, a willingness to prioritize my own well-being, even when it meant disappointing others. As I sorted through my mail, a handwritten envelope caught my attention. The return address was Adam's. Inside was a 5-page letter written in his familiar scrawl that brought an immediate lump to my throat. "Dear Brooke," it began, "there's so much I need to say to you, and I'm not sure where to start. Maybe with this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not being the brother you deserved. I'm sorry for watching Mom and Dad undermine and hurt you for years without speaking up. I'm sorry for being complicit in their exclusion of you from my wedding." The letter continued with painful honesty, detailing Adam's perspective on our family dynamics. He described how he had always known on some level that I was treated differently, but had accepted our parents' narrative because it was easier and more beneficial for him. He admitted to feeling uncomfortable with my exclusion from the wedding, but lacking the courage to challenge our parents until it was nearly too late. "The wedding was beautiful," he wrote, "but there was an emptiness there without you. Several people asked where you were, and each time I had to answer, I felt ashamed. Not of you, never of you, but of myself for allowing this situation. Mom and Dad were tense throughout the event. I've enclosed a few photos so you can see for yourself." The photos showed my parents looking strained and uncomfortable despite their formal attire and forced smiles. Adam and Sophia looked happy, but there was a shadow in his eyes that I recognized. The look he got when trying to please everyone at his own expense. Adam ended his letter with a request. "When you're ready, I'd like us to rebuild our relationship. Not as the people our parents wanted us to be, but as the siblings we really are. Take all the time you need. I'll be here." I read the letter several times, emotions washing over me in waves. There was hurt and anger still, but also a cautious hope. Perhaps this painful experience could be the catalyst for positive change in our family. Over the next few days, messages trickled in from other family members. Jessica called to fill me in on the wedding aftermath. According to her, the ceremony had been lovely, but the reception was tense, with several awkward moments when guests asked about me. "Adam actually got into an argument with Mom during the reception," Jessica revealed. "She made some comment about how peaceful everything was without certain people causing drama, and Adam called her out right there. Said the only drama was the drama she created by excluding her own daughter from his wedding." "He really said that?" I asked, surprised. "He really did. You should have seen Mom's face. Dad actually took Adam's side too, which I've never seen happen before. It's like something finally broke in their perfect family illusion." Friends from my hometown who had attended the wedding sent similar reports. My cousin Megan texted, "Missed you at the wedding. Your mom looked miserable the whole time. Karma, I guess." Even as the wedding aftermath unfolded from a distance, I was focused on processing my Greece photos and writing the article for Wanderlust magazine. The piece was coming together beautifully, weaving personal reflection with travel insights. My editor was enthusiastic about the draft, suggesting it could become a regular column if reader response was strong. 3 weeks after my return, I received a surprisingly vulnerable email from my father. He acknowledged his failure to protect me from my mother's criticism and his own emotional distance. "I told myself I was keeping the peace," he wrote, But really, I was just taking the easy way out at your expense. I hope someday you can forgive me." My mother predictably was the last to reach out. Her text message was brief and lacking in genuine introspection. "We should talk about what happened. Call when you can." After discussing it with Dr. Winters, I decided it was time for a direct conversation with my parents. Not over the phone or video call, but in person. I booked a flight to Boston for the following weekend, steeling myself for what would inevitably be a difficult encounter. I didn't announce my visit in advance, wanting to avoid giving my mother time to prepare a performance. When I knocked on their door that Saturday morning, my father's shocked expression confirmed I had made the right choice. "Brooke, we had no idea you were coming," he said, stepping aside to let me in. "That was intentional," I replied calmly. "I think we need to have an honest conversation. Is Mom home?" My mother emerged from the kitchen, her surprise quickly masked by a welcoming smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Brooke, darling, what a lovely surprise." "Let's sit down," I suggested. "We need to talk about what happened with the wedding and honestly about our relationship in general." The next few hours were among the most difficult and important of my life. Sitting at the dining table where so many uncomfortable family meals had taken place, I calmly but firmly presented my perspective on years of emotional manipulation. "When you told me I wasn't welcome at Adam's wedding, it hurt deeply," I explained. "But it also clarified something I felt for years, that my worth in this family has always been conditional." My mother immediately became defensive. "We were just trying to make Adam's day special. You always have to make everything about you and your alternative lifestyle." "My lifestyle isn't alternative, Mom. I'm a successful photographer and writer. The problem isn't my career choice. It's that you've never respected my path because it doesn't fit your narrative." My father shifted uncomfortably, but remained silent, his usual response to conflict. "Dad," I said, turning to him directly, "your silence has been as hurtful as Mom's criticism. Every time you stayed quiet when she belittled me, you were choosing her comfort over my well-being." His eyes filled with tears, a sight so unusual that it momentarily stunned me. "I know," he said quietly. "I've been a coward." Just then the front door opened and Adam and Jessica walked in together. They froze when they saw me. "Brooke, you're here!" Jessica exclaimed, rushing over to hug me. "Why didn't you tell us you were coming?" "I needed to talk to Mom and Dad first," I explained. "But I'm glad you're both here. This conversation affects all of us." With my siblings present, the family dynamic shifted palpably. My mother's usual tactics of deflection and dismissal were less effective, with all three of us presenting a united front. For perhaps the first time we spoke openly about the patterns that had shaped our family relationships. "I felt it too," Adam admitted, looking directly at our parents. "The different standards, the constant pressure to be perfect in your eyes. I just dealt with it differently. I conformed because it was easier than fighting." Jessica nodded. "And I learned to stay under the radar to not draw attention so I wouldn't be criticized like Brooke or pressured like Adam." My mother's facade finally cracked. "I just wanted the best for all of you," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I wanted you to have better lives than I had growing up." "By making us feel like we were never good enough?" I asked gently. "That's not protection, Mom, that's control." She covered her face with her hands and sobbed, real uncontrolled sobs that shook her entire body. My father moved to comfort her, then hesitated, looking at me uncertainly. "It's okay," I said. "She needs you right now." As he held her, my mother's composure completely disintegrated. Between sobs, she spoke of her own mother's relentless criticism, the impossible standards she had grown up with, the fear of failure that had haunted her entire life. "I didn't want to hurt you," she told me when she could speak again. "I thought I was helping you avoid the mistakes I made. I was wrong, and I'm so, so sorry." My father too broke down, admitting his own fears and failings. "I should have protected you," he said, looking at each of us in turn. "I should have been stronger." There was no perfect resolution that day, no magical healing of decades of hurt. But there was honesty. Raw, painful, necessary honesty. We talked until evening fell, ordering takeout. When we grew hungry, no one wanting to break the fragile connection that was forming. Before I left to return to my hotel, My mother took my hands in hers. "Will you give me a chance to do better?" she asked, her voice small and uncertain. "I will," I promised. "But things need to change. I won't keep pretending everything's fine when it's not." "I understand," she said, and for perhaps the first time I believed she did. 6 months after that difficult but necessary confrontation, I found myself back in Boston for a different kind of family gathering. Adam and Sophia had invited us all for dinner at their new home, a cozy craftsman bungalow in a quiet suburb. As I helped Sophia set the table, I marveled at how much had changed in such a relatively short time. My relationship with Adam had grown stronger than ever before. Once we stepped out from under the shadow of our parents' expectations, we discovered we actually enjoyed each other's company. We texted regularly, sharing jokes, work frustrations, and occasional deeper conversations about our ongoing family healing process. "I'm so glad you're here," Sophia said, handing me a stack of plates. "Adam's been looking forward to this all week." "So have I admitted. It's still strange, though. Family gatherings without tension. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop." Sophia laughed. "I know what you mean. The first time your mom complimented my cooking without adding suggestions for improvement, I nearly fell off my chair." My mother had indeed been making efforts to change her behavior. She still occasionally slipped into old patterns, but now when it happened, I could address it directly without fear of explosive consequences. She had started seeing a therapist of her own, working through the origins of her controlling tendencies and learning healthier ways to express love and concern. My father's transformation had been even more remarkable. After our confrontation, he had sent me a lengthy email detailing his regrets and asking for my forgiveness. More importantly, he had begun reaching out regularly, not with generic, "How are you?" messages, but with specific questions about my work and life. Last month, he had suggested meeting for coffee, just the two of us, something that had never happened in my adult life. During that slightly awkward but meaningful hour, he had asked thoughtful questions about my photography and actually listened to the answers. Jessica, Adam, and I had started family therapy together, a space where we could continue to untangle years of complicated dynamics. Our parents had been invited to join, but declined my mother, stating she wasn't ready for that level of exposure yet. It was disappointing, but not surprising, and we respected their decision while continuing our own healing work. My career had flourished in unexpected ways following my Greece trip. The Wanderlust magazine article had been a huge success, leading to a regular travel column and photography feature. My social media following had nearly tripled, attracting the attention of several tourism boards who now commissioned me for destination photography. And most exciting of all, my book deal had expanded from one coffee table volume to a 3-book series on different regions of the world. Adam entered the dining room carrying a bottle of champagne. "I think this calls for a toast," he announced, "to family, the one we were born into, and the one we're creating together." As we clinked glasses, I felt a sense of peace that had once seemed impossible. Not because everything was perfect, it wasn't, but because we were finally being honest with each other. The walls of pretense had come down, allowing real connection to take root in its place. After dinner, I helped Adam with the dishes while Sophia and Jessica chatted in the living room. "You know," Adam said quietly, "I think about the wedding sometimes, about how different it might have been if you'd been there." "Do you regret it?" I asked. He considered the question carefully. "I regret not standing up for you sooner, but in a strange way, I think what happened needed to happen. It forced all of us to confront issues we'd been avoiding for decades." I nodded, understanding exactly what he meant. Sometimes a break is necessary before healing can begin. Later that evening, back in my hotel room, I scrolled through recent photos on my phone. Adam and Sophia at their new house, Jessica at her promotion celebration, even a somewhat stiff but genuine family photo from Easter. Interspersed were images from my recent assignment in New Zealand, breathtaking landscapes and cultural moments captured through my lens. I stopped on a photo of myself standing at the edge of a fjord, arms outstretched, face tilted toward the sun. It had been taken by a fellow traveler, and something about it captured exactly how I felt these days, open to the world, embracing possibility, grounded in my own worth. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Thank you for coming today. It meant a lot to all of us, especially Adam. I know we still have work to do, but I want you to know I'm trying. Progress, not perfection. That had become my mantra for family relationships. Setting boundaries didn't mean cutting people off. It meant creating conditions where healthy connection became possible. Sometimes those boundaries needed to be firm, as they still were with my mother in certain areas. Other times they could soften as trust was rebuilt, as was happening gradually with my father. I had learned that my worth wasn't determined by my family's ability to see it. That had been the most liberating realization of all. Whether they fully recognized my value or not, it existed independently of their recognition. I no longer needed their validation to feel complete. As I prepared for bed, I thought about how far we'd all come since that painful video call, where I'd been told I wasn't welcome at my brother's wedding. The journey hadn't been easy, and there was still distance to travel, but we were moving in the right direction step by step, truth by truth. The unexpected journey to Greece had been more than a beautiful vacation or career opportunity. It had been the beginning of my journey back to myself. Sometimes the most painful rejections lead us exactly where we need to go, not to a place on a map, but to a place within ourselves where we finally recognize our own value. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members? What helped you find the strength to stand up for yourself? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit like and subscribe to hear more stories about finding strength through difficult family situations. Thank you for listening to my journey. And remember, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is honor your own worth, even when others don't see it yet.